perfectly even, but it was good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something to play with for $60.
Yeah, of course I could only get it up to
Sierra.
I'm on high Sierra. Is the highest it goes.
Hi, Sierra.
Hi, sis. Hey guys. So yeah, hi Sierra.
Hey.
What did it? And yeah.
Audio okay?
Yeah, sound good.
Yeah. You sound great. You don't look so hot. Oh, you look
Tired.
Well,
Yeah, I was eating right after I finished eating dinner. We were just sitting there watching some stupid old Charlie Chan movie, and I just like passed right out.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I worked till 5:30. Okay, I won't tell you the story about the chicken and the duck.
Just letting you know we're live.
There's no story. I'm making it up. But yeah, I worked till 5:30, and I'm here at the beach. Did some errands around the house. I got cameras to hook up, so I got 2 Eufy cameras.
Yeah, those are good.
And I got an Arlo for the side house, and it's totally wireless. And I put it in last week or 2 weeks ago. So the Arlo I have at my other house takes the batteries, the special batteries. I don't know the size of them, but they're not. You can buy them at a store. You just don't. They're not the typical double A's and all that. They're sort of. They look like if you took a double A and chopped it in half, kind of thing. But anyhow, and that lasts a long time at that house. But here, it's totally wireless. I don't have any power out there, and it doesn't last that long. So I'm like, oh shit. So I bought some additional ones to see if that would fix it. But then I had a brilliant idea to I bought on eBay, Amazon comes tomorrow, a solar charger. Right. So like
you just put up on the roof.
Not even on the roof, because I got the camera pretty much mounted to it's next to my air conditioning unit. And it's tied on. I figure if somebody's gonna steal it, I'll see who's gonna steal it. And it's $30, but whatever. So I'll just put the solar panel right next to it on this near the air conditioner and should charge it up, keep it charged. Because it takes micro USB. So we'll see how it goes. Or it could blow up. I don't know. We'll figure that out.
We don't want to blow up now.
No. We did catch people playing, when you live in a beach town during busy days, people do stupid things around here, especially Guy knows because he was here. And it's like kind of like you get the New York crowd and they're kind of jerks. And so anyways, a couple of drunk, I don't know, 15, 16-year-old kids, maybe 4 or 5 boys came up to our yard with our pool while people were in there, and they started screaming and saying things, but nobody could hear what they were saying. So, they laughed.
What was their point?
So we went back to the camera, which I had just put in, and then there was recording. I'll send it to you later. But it's these 4 kids. First, they walk up to the pool and they're like, "Excuse me," and they're putting on a fake British accent, and they're like teenagers. "Excuse me, can we use your pool? Can we take a dip in your pool?" Blah 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 blah. And then
like the ocean is right over. It's right the fuck over. Sorry, right the hell over there.
They were drunk and being silly, walking back from wherever they were walking.
Okay.
From. So, but the funny part.
Shit out of them.
Well, they were gone by the time we got there. But the funny part is one of the kids, like, looked straight at like the camera. He's like, "Oof, OF," and they start walking away. It's just kind of funny. They were just having fun. Yeah, they didn't do it. They didn't do anything bad as far as I could tell.
This time.
Well, that's why.
We're before dark right now, so you're okay.
Well, yeah. The best. They're okay for now. My wife said get more cameras. That was fun. Let's catch them doing more stuff around the house. Let's put one on. Let's put 2 on every side of every house, every side of the house.
Make sure it's facing the hot tub of the neighbor.
You do not. All right, that will be your private stream because that's not a pretty sight. I've seen it. He's about 80, and yeah. But
okay, now recording is in progress.
All right, so now
we're live on YouTube. So
now I won't talk about
YouTube. What up?
Yo, YouTube, what up?
Gang sign. Gang sign.
No, you can't do that. That's
Sure, I can. It's not even a real gang sign that I know of.
All right.
I don't know anything about gang signs. I just know how to say those words.
gang and sign.
Gang
Right.
signs.
Okay.
It
guys
scares
ready?
the old people.
Let's go. Yeah. Let's get this sucked out. Is this
Get it
everybody?
going.
Where's
This is
it?
everybody? Jeff couldn't make it tonight.
What?
Yep.
I'm gonna use that against him next time I see him.
No, he's got a good excuse. We're at episode 208.
Yeah.
In 5, 4, 3.
You said something to do with underpants, didn't it? Go ahead.
2, 1. Welcome to episode 208 of In Touch with iOS, the show that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg. My co-host, Warren Sklar, is here. How you doing, Warren?
I am good. Good to be here. Good to see you twice in 1 week.
Yeah.
The wife gets back tomorrow, and there's no travel plans, so this might be it for a while. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, geez. Well, I'm also happy to have Guy Searle back on the show. Thanks for being a guy. How are you doing?
Yo, it's good to be here, man. What's up? What you doing? How you feeling?
You're Jamaican?
No, that's bad New York beach accent.
I thought we were in Jamaica. Hey,
Man.
how we doing? You want
Oh,
some?
you take out the full bolt, you move the seat back. Everything's just
all right.
fine.
I put on some Bob Marley. We go to the club.
Here we go here.
All right.
We're 1 week post Worldwide Developers Conference, so we have some after talk of some things we didn't cover last week, but got some good topics when we chat about this week. Beta's pretty active, and got some news stories as well. And let's go ahead and just jump right into the news for this week. First story was Apple TV is going to be the exclusive home of Major League Soccer starting in 2023. Apple today announced a partnership with the MLS, or Major League Soccer, that will see every single MLS match streamed through the Apple TV app for the next 10 years, with a deal to kick off 2023. So if you're a soccer, or if you're in the UK football fan, you'll be able to stream every live match. No local blackouts, no restrictions. What a concept that would be. And quoting here what Apple said, this is for the first time in history of sports, fans will be able to access everything from a major professional sports league in one place, says Eddie Q, Apple's Senior Vice President of Services. It's a dream come true for MLS fans, soccer fans, and anybody who loves sports. No fragmentation, no frustration, just the flexibility to sign up to one convenient service to be able to watch. I think this is Apple continues to expand Apple TV. They did sign Major League Baseball beginning of this year with Friday Night Baseball, which it's gone with not so much fanfare, but they're working through the kinks. Guy, you being the sports fan you are, I know you want USFL to be on Apple TV.
Yeah, I'm actually wearing my Washington Federals hat right now. So,
so what do you think of this?
I think that it's probably great for Apple. I question whether it's going to be so good for Major League Soccer.
Yeah.
To basically force everyone who wants to watch Major League Soccer to have to go and get an Apple TV subscription, that you can't just have it on a local station or some other free station that you may have with your cable subscription.
Yeah.
For Apple, that's fine, but for Major League Soccer, I think that they're I'm hoping Apple's paying them a lot of money, because this could be limiting their audience.
Yeah, well, they're also saying that they are going to show a limited number of matches. They'll be available for free, so they'll entice people to watch it. It also depends on this sport is not as popular in the United States as it is in Europe, so it'll be interesting. What's your thoughts on this, Warren?
Well, they're 0 for 2 in sports that I really would watch at this point. So baseball, if you're going to pick two sports that I definitely wouldn't watch, that's baseball and soccer. So thank you, Apple, for that. I was hoping, I'm hoping for football to come.
That's still to be determined, because they're still waiting to sign that contract, because TV's contract's coming up here. So,
and I would definitely, the one thing I read though is this is not, it's a separate subscription. according to the story. From what they read, it's not included with Apple TV subscription.
Oh, really? See, that makes it even worse.
So
well, I thought it was included.
it's not. It's like not the verbiage is like it's not. It's going to be a separate pass, and so that could be
That's
that could
bad.
be one or well, maybe not, because that A might be mean that you would just need the Apple TV app to do it, and you would pay. It's still Apple TV's service. They're getting the money. You're paying Apple,
Right.
this way, but it will. It sounds like it's an alternative. Like you don't have to have both. So for the people who want, have an Apple TV app on their television or their Roku, could pay whatever they're going to charge for this thing with the Apple TV app and watch it without getting Apple TV and as well. So
Yeah,
that might
I guess.
actually open it up to more people, because like for instance, if I didn't have Apple TV included right now and this was football and not soccer, and they said for $20 a month you could have this pass where you can watch every football game, I might be in that camp that would just get that and not get the Apple TV Plus subscription, because there's nothing on there that I
Yeah.
want to watch. So if it's like an add-on like that, then it might be
Yeah, they really don't say the price, what the pricing is going to be.
they don't
for
list it yet in the story. They
Yeah.
say that it's going to be separated, and they haven't announced the price. But I mean, what's fair for? I mean, it's crazy. Like again,
Yeah.
guy knows too. And you probably know, but the NFL Game Pass that I bought for myself and my son is, it's like 3 years worth of Apple TV. It's stupidly expensive, the price.
Right.
So
No,
it's
I know.
like, people, I don't know what the market is for soccer fans, if they're going to want to pay, how much
Yeah.
for it.
So yeah, so that is right, because it says on their newsroom news release on Apple's website, it says complete details of the new service, including when finance can sign up for the service, subscription pricing, and specific details about programming and blah blah blah, will be announced in the coming months.
Yeah,
So,
that's not good. I don't think that
Yeah.
that's going to
I
work out
don't know.
really
Yeah,
well.
that's a little different here. I would not subscribe to this. because
If
I've
yeah,
never-
if
there are-
it was
but there are-
part of like the $4.99 a month that you're
Right.
already paying for Apple
that's
TV,
different.
But
That's
the-
different.
then
Again,
and
that's
even then
because-
I was kind of like I don't know, you're basically forcing people to get Apple TV, but $4.99 a month on top and besides the Apple TV content,
It's an add-on
whatever you
now,
think
but-
about that
Yeah, no, it's
I know
just
it's
an
an
add-on.
add-on, but
And
it's-
you're
it's-
thinking in soccer, but if this was the NFL, I pay 3 times that, if whatever the charge, probably
Which-
at this point.
well, but the thing is,
Yeah.
Apple isn't limited as far as American football goes. You've got 2 leagues that are going to start up again next year, and there's a third one that's going to be playing in August, Major League Football. I don't have no idea how well that's going to work out. But you've got the XFL and you've got the USFL that are coming February and March of next year. And that's not even assuming that they don't do some kind of merger, which I think would be a good move. But this isn't, minor league football talk.
Right, but here's a
But to
big
have,
difference.
let me finish.
And
To have football of any kind. And right now, in order to watch, say, the USFL, you have to be subscribed into Peacock. You have to be subscribed into FS1. You have to be subscribed into something related to Fox. You have to
Right.
be subscribed to
NBC
something
as well.
related to NBC. So
Right.
if Apple could just say, you know what, you don't have to do any of that if you don't want to. We're going to buy into this league, and sure, for your local teams, you can get that on over the air TV. But for everyone else that might want to watch a football game, all the games are going to be right here on Apple TV. And Apple, in turn, could sell advertising for these games, which is an area that they haven't really gone into yet that I know of. I don't know if they're doing that for Major League Baseball or if they're letting Major League Baseball handle that.
Mhm.
But to have some, if they want to have a sporting presence, okay, you've got baseball on one night a week. You've got Major League Soccer eventually coming for however many games that's going to be. But if you really want to grab the American audience, you got to have some football in there. And if the NFL is going to pussyfoot around, because the problem with the NFL is that their broadcast rights are spread out all over the place. So to even get a foot in the door there is,
but they're
like
streaming,
crazy.
but that's the problem. Their streaming rights are not, and that's where things are really different with the NFL. Major League Baseball and soccer have, just like you said, if you want to watch your flag, the football league that you're talking about, you could subscribe to different various areas to get to it. Right. NFL is really
a pain in the neck,
and their only streaming partnership as right now is DirecTV, and that's it
for the Sunday ticket. But yeah, let's go ahead and wrap it up. I'd like to move on from this topic. So
sure,
ahead.
Yep.
So go ahead, finish up.
No, it's an interesting, fun topic. So, but we want football.
There are alternatives to the NFL.
Football.
Yeah.
There's alternatives.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, I think this is definitely something Apple's really diving in with content, and then that's really they really want to get into live events, live sports, and this is another way to do it. Next story here is Apple Music and Apple Arcade to earn $8.2 billion annual revenue by 2025. That's got to go billion. Says JP Morgan analyst. Apple's revenue from its music and gaming subscription services is expected to jump 36% to $8.2 billion annually by 2025. The investment bankers analysts said on Monday that Apple Music and Apple Arcade are likely to have a combined subscriber base about 180 million by 2025. 110 million users paying for the company's music services, about 70 million for gaming. And of course, Apple Music launched in 2015. It's the second largest music streaming service after Spotify, and Apple Music expects to account for $7 billion of revenue by 2025 as well. Apple Arcade is only that's about 3 years old here, and it's starting to pull in some money. I didn't think it was doing this well. Again, this is just showing you that Apple continues to evolve with services. Guy, what do you think? I mean, I think it's music and games. I mean, two topics a lot of people like.
Well, I mean, their services have been growing by leaps and bounds ever since. And the funny thing is, they don't really like their hardware sales now. They don't really break it down when they have their quarterly earnings calls. The fact that Apple and I was kind of skeptical when they started this, but I think that what is it, Apple One Plus or Apple Plus subscription,
Apple One bundle,
Apple One bundle. It's such a great deal for Mac users with 2 terabytes of up to 2 terabytes of storage, family sharing amongst 5 or 6 people that are in your family. And where it kind of drops off, though, is people that aren't Apple users. So if they can somehow entice other, and I think a lot of it is also branding, which is why I think they got away from iTunes. They know that iTunes is inevitably linked to Apple and the Mac. So by changing it to just Apple Music, it takes away at least part of the stigma that iTunes had for people that were outside of the Apple ecosystem. And the advantage for Apple that is a disadvantage for Spotify is that this is Spotify's entire business, and any kind of downturn, just kind of like what's going on with Netflix right now, is going to severely hurt them, where Apple can just say, well, okay, so we had a slight dip in services, but we're still making billions everywhere else. So, Apple can play the long game here.
That's true. Warren, you got any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I was going to pretty much say what Guy just said at the end is basically they don't really have much to lose in this kind of stuff. They could keep throwing things out there, and, if people do it, they do it. If not, they have so much money that, it's not going to hurt them. The News Plus service is one that comes to mind that hasn't really took off the way it maybe some of the others.
All the hype that they had.
Yeah. And then Fitness Plus, I know people use it, but it's, certainly not talked about that often. So, I mean, there's services that are going to be out there that, are probably not as doing as well as the others. But again, it's Apple's smart with that, with the ARC and all these services. They could they could modify how much they have to spend on these services based on numbers, of subscribers. And, it's not right. They could add, they're constantly, adding more people to Apple Fitness. In the beginning, right, we heard all these famous trainers, right? The Barry's Nakuki is joining Apple Fitness. I'm like, oh, but now you don't hear that much anymore because they were throwing a lot of money in the beginning about that to get people, and now that it's not doing as well, they're like, Gary Shinuki's went somewhere else, and that's how it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, it's just like I said, they have the money to screw around with these services. And
it's all subsidized through other stuff that they do.
Yeah, and I think they know Apple Music is pretty much. I think at this point they still think Apple Music is their bread and butter and services. I would have to think that that's mostly only because it's been around the longest, and at this point. But yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah, well, we'll see where it goes here. It's going to be interesting. Last story here was Apple has opened up registration for professional learning in virtual conferences with the iPad. This is if anybody's interested in some professional learning this summer, you have an iPad, and Apple will be hosting a series of free virtual hands-on professional learning experiences using the iPad starting this week as we record this. Explore helpful resources, practice new skills, reflect on ways Apple technology can support great learning and teaching. I went and checked it out. It's actually pretty good, and they got some good topics, photography and all kinds of other stuff. I mean, all you really need to do is have an iPad with an Apple Pencil, and you can take a look at the course selection links in this article in the show notes here. But they're offering things like making musical masterpieces and diving into learning AR, as well as learning how to code in Swift, and which that event's already filled up there. Oh wow!
These are free sessions?
Is it absolutely free? Yeah, you just go on the site, register, and hopefully they stay still open. Like I said, the Swift one already filled up, and I was just looking at this yesterday. So
got to be Swifter.
They've got to be Swifter.
Zing.
Something you would be interested in, Guy?
What this kind of reminds me of what Apple used to do in store, where they would have like these little learning classes and stuff.
They still do it.
They're still doing it.
Yeah, but part of the problem, and it's not a bad problem to have, is that the stores get so crowded that there's really no room to have that kind of close one-on-one teaching like they used to.
Not really. I've seen one old lady sitting there, like five empty chairs. If you go you have to go at the right time. You'll see the one old lady and 5 empty chairs, and the teacher looking.
I want to learn about GarageBand. Oh, okay. All right. Here we go.
I gotta go at the right time. Been by myself, so
I'm Granny Rapper.
Yeah.
That they're doing. I wonder if this is like the start of like something else that they could roll into the Apple One bundle. Having and not just because right now, what these classes are just kind of like fun to have courses.
Right.
There's like nothing that's really attached to them that's that they say, well, you might want to hire me because I learned how to do web design in this Apple Learning virtual conference. But if they could get some accredited courses, then this could become, like Apple University. You've got Apple Music, you've got Apple TV. Now you're going to have, Apple Dance Theory, or whatever the particular course might be. So I look forward to our education being run by our Apple overlords. All hail.
Well, check it out. Links in the show notes. I think it's something going to be definitely interesting here. So let's go ahead and move on to topics this week. Let's start with beta discussion. iOS 15.6 beta 3. There's, believe it or not, they're still doing some beta testing with 15.6. Third gen just came out this week as we record. Really don't know of any real changes that have occurred on here other than probably some bug fixes because they had some, various bugs that have been going on with it. But we all know that all the focus is going to move on to iOS 16. So not much else to say about that other than if you're still wanting to check out iOS 15, you can with beta. It's probably going to be up. I was expecting it would probably have been released this week, but apparently they had another beta So maybe next week we'll see.
So there's
But
3 people in the world that downloaded that, right? Because
yeah, exactly.
every other developer is going to get the new stuff, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we are on week 2 of beta for iOS 16 for only developers at the moment. So that is going to be something that's definitely going to be focused on for quite some time here. There's so much stuff that on here. Warren, since you're the beta tester for everything living on that edge, what have you seen? Yeah,
beta master.
We have you noticed anything that's caught your eye so far?
He's the master beta.
Fish. No, now I can't talk.
Sorry.
There's a lot of new features. That's why I say I wonder if anything
let's talk. Yeah, okay, that's what back to topic. It's been a rougher week. There's been definitely times where I wish my stuff would work and it didn't. I actually had a job of recovering somebody's MacBook, and it was tough with 2 other Macs that I had with the beta on there. So that was a challenge. But other than that, Teams crashes. I can't use Teams on my phone, which is kind of a bummer too, because I use it for work.
Is that because of the beta, or is that because Microsoft hasn't updated their stuff to work with it?
Not that, well, both.
Yeah.
So what happens is a lot of these companies don't jump that fast
right away
to do it, to fix it, and that's their prerogative too. They don't have to. So if you go out, like at this point, if you go to Google and say Teams crash iOS 16, you'll see a thread. Everybody say me too. So it's broken. Other than that, it's good. I mean, I've been playing with a couple of new features. I really there's a lot that I really like. So a lot of features I like. I really like the ability to take the picture out of a picture, that's really fun.
I haven't tried that yet. I think we'll do it on the next episode here. We gotta I want some talk about that, because it is really cool.
It's fun. So you could it's a little practice to figure out how to do it, because if you're in the picture, you grab it out and then there's nothing to do with it, so you're just moving the picture to picture somewhere. So there's some bugs there, but anyways, that was fun. I mean, I haven't. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Oh, there is, and that's what I say. Over the next few weeks, we'll be talking about as we find things. One of them note that I discovered is the fact that if you go into a message and you want to type in, like, let's say you want to say it's 35 degrees Celsius, and you send it to somebody, and that person, as well as you, have iOS 16, you actually, once you send it, you tap where it says 35 degrees Celsius, tap it, then a menu will pop up, and it now shows you Kelvin and Fahrenheit. So now no more having to figure out when someone tells you it's 35 degrees Celsius, what the temperature is here, where we know in the Fahrenheit. So they're doing those kind of quick menu things like that within messages, as well as I believe it will work in other apps like Notes and such like that as well, but I haven't tried that yet. It also will do a time zone adjustment too. So if you say 5 p.m. Pacific time, and you send they sent that to you, and you could tap it, and it'll give you what the current time is and where your location is to convert it. So they're doing a lot of those cool things that I'm seeing. And this
that would be a big help for me, constantly having a fight with British summertime with gas, trying to figure out what the hell time is it over there.
I do the same thing with the British Tech Network with the Mac show too. So we always end up losing an hour for like 2 weeks, and then we get the hour back again. So
my wife. It's good with my wife, but we never fight about whether the weather's in Celsius or not. That would be just weird.
So moving on, let's talk about some more of the announcements that may not have been reviewed or covered, because again, there was just so much that was just talked about, and then probably going to be covered for the next few more weeks, just some of the things that we can talk about. But notably, I know Guy, this caught your eye as well as me, is Stage Manager. Quite a bit of controversy going on with that right now, and the fact of the matter that Apple can fix it. So Stage Manager Conference. If go ahead, Guy, you put in some of this text. Go ahead and say what you found.
Okay, well, basically, what's going on is Apple is saying that Stage Manager isn't going to work on iPads that don't have an M1. As a matter of fact, it's not going to work on Macs that don't have an M1.
Right.
So I think that it's, and the explanation that they gave was in typical Apple fashion, pretty vague, that it says, well, we tried it and it just didn't work as well as we thought it was going to. So in order to have the quote unquote full experience, we're going to limit it to only the M1 Max and M1 iPads, which of course has people who bought iPad Pros from 2016, 2018, I think 2020 as well, up in arms because they have whatever the A series chip is that's in their iPad Pros. And I was perusing the comment section where I got this story from, and one of the points that kept trying to be made over and over again was that the M series chips are basically derivatives of the A series chips. I mean, that was where Apple got the original design for them. So why can't they work too? And again, I'm without seeing the results of what Apple had when they tried to do it with A series chips. And of course, we'll never see that unless, some hacker manages to get it on there. Apple's explanation of less cores, less memory, less GPU, less neural engine.
Craig Federighi did say that.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. I don't want to give Apple a complete pass on it. I really wish that sometimes that Apple would just get ahead of some of this stuff and say, look, okay, well, here's what it looked like when we tried to do it on an A series chip. And at least that way, all of the, and part of the problem as well is Apple in their advertising talks about how powerful the iPads are, especially the A series iPads. Right. And then they turn around and say, well, okay, well, there's this new OS coming out and you're not going to be able to use features A, B, and C because it's, not supposed to work with the chip that you have. So, I mean, how Apple can't really have it in both ways. Either the iPads that we bought less than 2 to 3 years ago are powerful computers in their own right and capable of running at full speed, at least the next version of the OS after we've bought them, or change your message so that our expectations aren't quite so high. I don't know. It's, again, without knowing what that was going to look like with an A series iPad, it's hard to have a hard and firm opinion on whether it's good or not.
I mean, and Apple's been, as always, famous for knowing that they're looking out for our best interest, and if they're going to be satisfied with what the experience is going to be with the newer technology and using it on older devices. But I agree with you that there's people who have 2018 iPads, and those are perfect. Yeah, there's perfectly good iPads. I mean, they will work perfectly fine. Interestingly enough, 9 to 5 Mac, I put an article in here as well. They did find some code in here that says that that there was an internal mode that will allow it to work, in essence. So the code was found and it said there was a code name for legacy devices called Chamois, and that's the Stage Manager code name. So they were testing with it, and of course that I guess it does align with what the statement was that came from Craig about this. But they were just, again, they've been testing it, but I guess the engineers felt that this wasn't something that was going to be satisfactory of an experience. Granted that the M1 has the faster Thunderbolt port, because they're thinking
Well,
external
doesn't
displays.
the Air have an
The Air does
M1?
too, but then the Air is also slower as well. And then I think that the RAM that we're talking about too.
That doesn't have the USB-C port or the Thunderbolt port. That's got Lightning.
The Air, the last Air, I believe, has is a.
It's not Thunderbolts. I think it's just USB-C.
It's just USB-C. It doesn't have the Thunderbolt. But I mean that in itself, that I think Apple, again, I see what I just right away I knew that Apple always is looking at, okay, we don't think this is going to be a good experience for our customer using a product that's this old. I mean, just like when we have the iPhones that go as far back as the iPhone 8, that not all the features are going to work that are in iOS 16. I mean, same thing that had happened with, it just isn't possible with the processor and its speed. I mean, same thing with some of the older iPads. I mean, even though I've got the first generation iPad Pro, there's no way that's a 7-year-old iPad. But it's still a Pro, and then I was glad to see that they're at least letting that model go another year, because there's still a lot of people have that first generation iPad Pro at the 12.9. I'm going to wait to hear your thoughts on this, Ward.
So I got thoughts. My first thought is Apple fan haters have been saying that iPads can't multitask, right? It's not a real tablet. You can't multitask.
Yeah.
And this M1 BS is just going to add fuel to that fire, right? So you're telling me that everybody just wanted resizable windows to multitask, like in Windows 3.1 and Mac, probably Mac OS X 6, like something like that, where that's all we want. So what did Apple do? They're like, well, they want that, but let's just make this incredibly a complicated process with floating windows and things that look so much better, instead of just putting the stupid X on top of a box and resizable window. And so for them to say that we didn't like the experience, they made the experience. They have the smartest programmers in the world working in that building. They could have easily done something. Maybe it wouldn't have looked as nice, maybe whatever.
That's a thing.
But people were clamoring for, they didn't need nice, right? They want the people who were begging for the power feature for and say, I want this to look like a beautiful thing, like when I do it. No, they're not saying that. I want to be able to take my finger and take this app and move it there, and I want to take my finger and put this app there. That's all they wanted. That's literally all they asked for. And they got this. And for Apple to say it's a cop-out, they easily could have made this happen.
Maybe.
I mean, the code's there. I mean, it can be done. It's just a matter of
it could be done.
Apple doesn't want to do it.
They could have changed the code too. I mean,
the one thing that we have to remember is Apple is in flux right now. They're in a period of transition between Intel and M1 and A series and M series. I don't think it's a stretch of the imagination to say that every single iPad will be an M series iPad within the next 1 to 2 years. And it probably wouldn't be a stretch, especially once the 3 nanometer process is yielding better results, that iPhones as well won't be or will be M series or whatever they're going to call a processor that'll fit within an iPhone, as compared to the M series for larger devices like iPads and the Macs.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be some pain. This happened in the transition between the 64,000 and the PowerPC to Intel, and of course it's going to happen now that we're going from Intel to ARM. So this isn't going to be the last story that we hear about this.
No.
And chances are, and this is just as far as the Mac goes, this is just the beginning. There's only a couple of things in Ventura that won't work with Intel Series Macs, and that is going to accelerate.
Oh, it already did with Monterey.
Version,
so
yeah,
right.
I mean, it's going to go, and there's like 2 or 3 big features that won't work with Intel Max with Ventura. But the time when the next one, Miss Snuggle Kitty, comes out next year, it's going to be accelerated, and will be Intel Max are going to be also RANs within the next probably 2 years. So,
and that's what they probably said, but that's a whole nother topic.
And I think, but real fast, I think Apple is taking the bet that most people don't care, right? Because essentially, with this feature,
except the fanboys,
well,
and girls.
They're saying
going to complain no matter what you do,
right? But most people who have a non-M1 iPad at this point are not going to care about that. They use it differently. I'm not saying that's true or not, but that's probably what they're thinking, because literally they obsoleted, and I don't want to say obsolete, but they basically left out probably about 80% of the iPad ownership population at that point, right? I would imagine, of all the iPads out there,
with
still a lot of ones out there.
iPad OS 16 and very much so 17. They're going to start dropping like flies.
Yeah, but I still think as of right now, there's probably 90% non-M1 iPads out there in the wild.
Sure.
And so
that's a fair assessment.
I would say that most people aren't going to be able to use this feature. Some of them are going to say, I'm going to get myself an M1 now because of this, and some won't. And that's again, Apple, if this was a super feature like that, everybody, if let's say the mask, the phone with the mask, to unlock with the mask, wasn't that a big thing too, where it needed like a 12 or 13, something like that, they would be a lot more careful about introducing a feature that's not going to work on 90% of their devices that use that.
Right. Well, I mean, I tried it out. I don't know if you've tried it out, Warren, on your Mac, on M1, and it's pretty slick. I mean, I got it on my secondary M1 Mac Mini that installed it, and
I turned it off after.
Oh, I liked it. I like the way it was easy to toggle. Because not everybody likes spaces, and I never like spaces on the Mac. But
yeah, but I don't like how it doesn't come back full screen. Like things like if you're switching between them, the state doesn't come back the way that it should come back, that I found. So I have to go full screen again when I open back up. Yeah, I didn't like it personally, but maybe they'll.
Yeah, I will see we'll see where it goes. Yeah. I mean, Stage Manager was quite a big thing to talk about, and
remember, the Stage Manager, it's not just multitasking on an iPad or making multitasking better in an iPad. It's being able to connect an iPad to a larger monitor and basically turn it into a full blown, whatever however you want to define computing, computer. And
you could hook them up before this. So I've hooked up iPads to monitors.
Well, it's not as like, if you look at something like Samsung DeX, and I know I don't want to go down that rat hole. But sure. Android devices, as far as connecting them up to a larger monitor and all the rest of that, at this point
are better,
is a better experience than what you're going to get connecting an iOS or an iPad to a larger monitor.
I bought a Lenovo tablet last week. I could tell you all about it. It does the same thing.
The Stage Manager is like the first shot across the bow to try to rectify that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on. But we got plenty to look for. There's going to be more and more betas that are going to be released. Who knows? Apple could be releasing some. Yeah, I'm sure Apple will be releasing a lot more changes because this is not the final. This is not the final code yet. So, so let's move on. I got another topic here. I wanted to talk about. There was a story that the European Union had announced that they are now going to mandate that every device that has a port on it, would be it a phone, tablet, and such, has to have USB-C. And Apple, of course, doesn't do that because they still have that old 10-year-old Lightning connector that's sitting on the iPhone. So it's definitely something that Apple's going to have to look at. I mean, because in the European Union, there's going to be a lot of people that, I mean, we got a few years yet before this has to happen, but there's been quite a debate on it. Our friend Andrew Orr actually wrote this article. I have a link in the show notes for on an Apple Insider about just kind of the pros and cons of the Lightning versus USB-C. And I want to kind of get your guys' thoughts on this as well. Again, the new rules are going to be in 2024. So I can't imagine that the iPhone 14 is going to change this year. It's still going to stay with Lightning. I just know, but really, if you look at the pros and the cons of it, is Lightning was like I said, released in 2012. It was quite a big jump when we got rid of that 30-pin connector finally. If we remember how much of an uproar that was when they had the 30-pin connector for those first 10 years, people were just going crazy. So Apple had created adapters and making sure that these plugs worked for a while and all that. So, but it does have, as far as the bad thing to it is, it does have a slow data transfer rate. But is that a big deal? Because I don't know if a lot of people are using their iPhone to transfer data.
That's what I said.
I just don't think that is a huge deal. So it does have transfer speeds that are slow, but like you have something like a 12.9 inch on the iPad Pro, the first gen I had, that has a Lightning on it with the camera adapter. That was slightly faster because it was USB 3.0. So they were adapting, but it really depended on the device. So it is a good protocol for charging. I agree with this, and saying that 27 watts is about the right adapter that'll work and make sure that it charges fast. I find the iPhone charges fast with this. So I mean, really the pros and cons are, the pros are the fact that Apple does do a M5 certification program on it to make sure that you're getting a cord and a connector that is certified by Apple to make sure it's going to work. Because there's tons of knockoffs out there. You could buy those at the local Walgreens on their little kiosks when you walk up to the cash register, and those things are like $10 cables, and they're who knows what they are. So
Fred's fish bait and computer supplies.
They work for a while. I've real fast. I've never had a cable as bad as it's been ever hurt or damaged the actual phone ever. I've always had them break.
Neither have I.
They'll break after like 5 days.
They won't work sometimes.
Yeah, but if I'm buying a $5 cable, because I'm in Vegas, I need to charge my phone for 5 days, and it lasts 5 days, and it was worth the $5.
But and I'll compare this to USB-C, and you also have to include the Thunderbolt into that equation as well, because iPads now have Thunderbolt 3, Thunderbolt 4, giving you faster throughput for that. How important is that? Well, I mean, it's a tablet. I mean, you're probably going to be doing a little more data transfer. A lot of people use external drives they want to plug into the iPad to be able to transfer photos and all that stuff. So, is this a big of a debate? I don't know. I mean, I think is this going to be a huge deal? I don't think so. But I also think that that it's a long time. It's been a long time. 10 years is a long time in technology to have the same exact technology. And Apple is the only one that has not changed their connectors. So, what do you think, Guy? Is this a big deal to you as far as if Apple were to have to switch?
I think it is a big deal, but I'm looking forward to it. I've never been like huge Lightning cable fan, especially once USB-C came out.
Yeah.
The fact that the uproar that happened between the 30-pin and Lightning, I think, was more along the lines of there was such a huge ecosystem of products out there that was being supported by 30-pin devices. I mean, everybody had something that would go between older iPods and clock radios or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing was, even though they're selling more devices than ever with Lightning cables than they did with 30-pin, I don't think that the hardware ecosystem is anywhere near as big as it was with the 30-pin. So I think there will be some gnashing of the teeth and the faux rage and all the rest of that. How could Apple do this to me? But I don't think it's going to be as big of a deal as when the change happened between 30-pin and Lightning. And honestly, USB-C is on everything. And if Lightning goes away, I'm really not going to miss it that much.
Yeah, no, you got to look at Apple, what they've done now. Every cable that goes inside a box, of course, you're not getting the power adapter anymore, but it's a USB-C to Lightning cable. You don't have the USB-A anymore. At least that comes with devices now. So they're kind of doing it anyway. So I mean, there's a slow transition to it. I see it. I see it
Yeah, I
not
think
being
the
as huge
EU
deal.
is just pushing them in the direction that they were going to go anyway, maybe just a little faster than they
Yeah.
originally wanted to.
Yeah. Do you have anything else, Warren?
Yeah, I mean, so we all have our areas of the house where we have cables on tables for people to come in and charge their phones and blah blah blah, and for us to charge our phones. And it would be super nice if there was like one or two just USB-C cables instead of the rat nest of other cables I have at every one of the spots in my house.
Yeah.
Um,
USB micro, USB mini, blah 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 blah, all so on and so
and-
forth.
well, when my trailer in-laws come over, they're all looking for
Wait, hold on.
yeah.
What was that again?
When my in-laws come over,
No, there was a word that
no.
said.
So when my in-laws come over, they tend to have Android phones, so they're looking for the micro USBs and the USB-Cs. And then my pretentious rich friend neighbors who come over with their iPhones, they plug in with their iPhone with the lightning cable. So it's hard to please everybody. It would be, if for anything, it will make the mess of trying to charge people's phones and things like in my
Less
office
messy.
Yeah, exactly. And they, if they do it, I'm sure they could come up with like some really nice charger things for, I mean, like you could get a really nice 2 or 3 or 4 port USB-C charger that will charge multiple devices a lot better than you could get a multiple lightning charger. It's just, it has, I mean, I guess you could do the USB-C lightning, but whatever, but it's cleaner. So that's where I'm going with that.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on. Next topic here. We always heard the word Sherlock apps, and we've had it happen for years. It happened for years and years that Apple would come up with a new app for something specific that another app fixed, like live text Sherlocked a lot of apps that were out there when that came out. Well, now they have the continuity camera that's going to be that's in and Mac OS beta for Ventura, and they do have a new feature that's called continuity camera, and it's going to allow you to be able to hook your iPhone wirelessly to your Mac and be able to use it as a webcam. Now, I currently am using my camera, an iPhone as a webcam, and I have been for quite some time. And I happen to use a product called Camo Studio, made by Reincubate.
Yep,
so it's an awesome app. And so then I went ahead and I tested it on iOS 16, and sure enough, it crashed. So I went ahead and I just checked out on Twitter to see if anybody had said anything to the guys at Reincubate about it. And sure enough, someone did say something, but I made a huge deal out of it. So I went and said, hey, this is crashing on iOS 16. So I actually had downgraded this iPhone down to the beta 15.6 for a brief time. So I did go on beta 15.6 for a very brief time. But then the next day I got response. I noticed that Camo got updated to 1.6.7 is the new version. And sure enough, it works. It works in iOS 16, but that just shows you how great those guys are at Reincubate. In fact, the CEO actually made the reply and asked and said, hey, yeah, is it working for you now? And I said, yeah, this is great. It's working. And I'm very pleased. Thank you. And you guys rock. Because and how quick of a response that was on it, just realizing that the press for this particular app was getting, just this app's for sure you're going to be Sherlock. There's no way. Well, I don't think it is, because I think if anybody, you guys haven't noticed yet, look at my lower third here now. This is their new feature in Camo Studio. They have new overlays and templates that you can create that adds even more ways, and I can toggle it on and off very easily. And they've got 8 or 10 different templates you can add. I don't know if you've looked at this yet, Guy, but it's
what is it that you're showing? The InTouch iOS logo thing?
Yeah, that's a whole new lower third now, because you have even more flexibility in being able to add things. You only really were able to, I had added like my name and just the logo, but now you've got all kinds of different templates. Like you can have a business card, you can have they've created it so you can actually edit and modify it. So only reason I bring that up is the fact that I think that Camo Studio is going to be, they'll continue to evolve it. I mean, yeah, I think that the continuity camera is going to be something that's interesting, and I know Apple is going to be opening up the API so other developers can take advantage of what their technology is, but it's still pretty new. And of course, they are partnering with Belkin to have a little stand that'll clip right on the top of your MacBook Pro, if you so choose. I've tried it on a Mac, and it's okay. I mean, it seems like it works okay. I don't know if you've had a chance to try it yet with your Mac, Warren. As far as
I just updated it while we were talking.
Okay,
are we talking about Camo or the
no,
camera.
the continuity camera, camera in Ventura.
No, it works great. I mean,
Isn't there quite a bit of latency at this point though?
no, it was perfect. I could show you guys, but I didn't see any problems with it.
Okay.
And so I mean, two things. Sherlock companies are going to try if they think they could try. We all saw what happened with the Astropad that we bought. What was it?
Yeah.
So the difference with that is that's a paid hardware purchase. So that was going to be losing to Apple no matter what, because Apple provided pretty much the solution for free and very free, and it did just as good as a job as the dongle did, in my opinion. So that was its problem. And then they tried, they're still trying with the Windows version of it, and I do play with it sometimes. You could use that for Windows and things like that. So with this, being that Camo is free, or it can be free, it doesn't have a paid.
It has a free version, and then the paid version is going to be the Studio that you need to have.
Yeah, so I think they, they'll have a better shot, at least than Luna did, because they if it's free and people had it and they were using it, they're going to continue to go on no matter what. They're going to continue to use it, and they might pay for it if they like it. But for me, the feature is more for people who are traveling and they forgot to bring a webcam with them, and that's where it's going to come in handy. In fact, I've already used it once for that, because I was here without a webcam for a meeting. Actually, real fast, I had to actually download something else called Epicam, EPOCCAM. It's the same thing, but it's also worked on a Windows computer because I was on my Windows computer for work. So that's another issue too. I don't know if Camo's cross-platform or not.
It is,
but is it? So that's a big thing, because the continuity cam's not. So could happen.
Right. So yeah, I mean, being cross-platform, Electron programming was a big deal about app developers using Electron for their apps. So you are going to start seeing more and more cross-platforming of this type of stuff. But to be able to utilize the iPhone, I think, is a great thing. But in general, there's the articles in the show notes here about different apps that were going to be Sherlocked, and there are going to be some that, like ones we just mentioned, that are gone because they really could not compete with what Apple was going to provide. So, do you have any last thoughts, Guy, before we move on to next topic?
I'm kind of playing with it right now. I'll switch cameras in a second.
No, we could do that. We'll do that after show.
After show.
It asked me if I wanted to do it. I said no. I should have said.
Two more topics here I wanted to touch on. As always, Apple never really talks about tvOS, but there were some features that were added in the tvOS 16 that weren't even mentioned during the keynote. And I've got an article in the show notes here that will give some of the things that they're adding. Of note, they're including cross-device connectivity. That tvOS 16 is going to enable developers to integrate their Apple TV app with their iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch apps to unlock new experiences, feel more personal than ever. Feel more personal than ever. They're expanding game controller support. They're going to support HDR10+, which will be So this feature may be abandoned because they did remove that from their website. So they did kind of mention it before. Multi-user improvements. It's just going to offer improved system integrations for user profiles, which is great. Then Matter, which is a new standard that is enabling compatible smart home accessories to work together seamlessly, including with Amazon and the Echo and others and more. And the Home Hub is needed to control Matter, where the TV, Apple TV can do that. So there were a couple things that were added there. So I thought I'd mention any of that. So definitely check that out. I don't know if you guys have any comments on that before we move on. Okay.
Apple TV
And
just is, in my
it's
opinion. It's just there. It's a thing.
And then the other topic I wanted to cover is the CarPlay features that are actually going to come to iOS 16. As we watched the keynote last week, it was cool and all to see those cars that had the fully immersed CarPlay experience, but it's going to be years down the road before I see any car manufacturers.
Many years.
Yeah, if at all. I mean, so obviously Apple was trying to get people to think, manufacturers like BMW and Ford and others are going to jump on this bandwagon. I could see it. They're going to have to partner with the car manufacturer, but this could be a way to come because, of course, of Project Titan, potentially Apple coming out with an Apple car. There was rumblings that maybe Tesla could be considering thinking about now dabbling into CarPlay. I just don't see it. But they did add some new app categories, which is great. Which in the past they had things like food ordering, parking, EV charging apps. If you had an EV that has CarPlay, driving tasks and fueling. And then also, you all are going to have all of the conferencing apps like Teams is already available on CarPlay and Zoom, but now WebEx. Oh God, who wants to be on a WebEx meeting? That's going to be on there.
In the car, is that it can't be video then.
Oh, it's audio. It's audio.
Okay, yeah.
Of course.
And there's a sudden rash of cars suddenly veering off and hitting
it's
support pillars.
They will make sure it's blocked to be audio only. So
I think Zoom's already done on there too. Right?
Zoom's there already, and Teams is already there, and WebEx is coming if it hasn't already. Two other changes they made with messages and podcasts in CarPlay that won't require future app updates. Apple is speeding up the flow of messaging when using Siri, and podcast app is expanding its library. So drivers will have the option to automatically send a message after having Siri review it back to you. Its speech to text works as expected. They'll remove a step currently required when reviewing messages in CarPlay. If you decide to edit the message, that always drives me crazy sometimes. Do you want to edit it? You want to send it? You could change that.
I don't attempt to do it anymore. I don't attempt to voice a message anymore. I've given up.
I've been doing it. I did it the last day or two.
It never works, and I would say screw it.
Apple's also.
I usually just send it anyway, even if it isn't right, just because it's usually funnier that way.
It doesn't, and usually it's not going to the right person.
Apple's going to also expose some of the podcast apps features in CarPlay. The CarPlay currently focuses on the listening now feature, but other ways of finding the right podcast episode requires the iPhone app. But starting in iOS 16, you'll be able to find episodes that are downloaded or saved. The app will also now allow you to view latest episodes, shows in your library. We'll also be likely to gain some wallpaper options, and we'll see where that goes. But it's a welcome thing to see that they're going to expand at least on some of the functionality. Again, full car immersed experience with CarPlay in a car, I think, is a long way down the road. It was fun to watch. But
do you think they'll do video like Tesla does? Because they'll know your car is not moving now when you tap in. So Tesla allows you to watch Netflix, Hulu, things like that on its screen. Do you think they'll start to do that?
I don't know. I find it hard to believe that they would, only because they worry about liability. It's dangerous to be doing video.
But you can't on a Tesla. There's no way to play it if you're moving.
Oh yeah, for moving. Yeah, I mean, just like when you can't do GPS stuff when you're moving. It says cars moving, you can't change the setting or
Right.
access the
But
setting.
you like in the Tesla, you could watch Netflix, just not if the car's moving, you can. So Apple could easily say you could, stream video from your phone to CarPlay to your
Right.
one of three screens, and that would be awesome. Gosh.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but I mean, it was good to see that they gave the CarPlay some love. It was long overdue. There really wasn't much else when it comes to that. So, but all right. With that, I think we made it to the hour here. And unless you have anything else to add, we'll go ahead and wrap things up for this week.
I have one final thought
Yes.
for the Apple TV and the stage camera. Why haven't they allowed you to use your iPhone as a camera to get video calls on the Apple TV? Like
That's a good question.
They could compete with the Portal, right? Because they have the object detection. They can move around with the kids like they show in the Portal. It has everything the Portal does, and it's an Apple device, so you don't have to deal with Facebook. Go ahead.
No, that's a good question. I would think that'd be something that they wouldn't want to do, especially if somebody wants to use the Apple TV as a way of having a meeting.
Big screen. Well, for family calls is what you're just like the
Or
Portal.
family calls, right?
Yeah, that's like the Portal's thing. So,
and you really don't hear too much about that either. Have you, or unless have you read stuff that I haven't seen? Or
no, I just came up with that as that being a good idea, and I think it would be. Yeah, because I came up with it because we talked about doing it on a Mac, and then went right into new features of the Apple TV. I'm like, there's a connection here. My thought process is, what can the Apple TV do? That's why it gets very little press conference at this point, because there's nothing really left for it to do. But that's something to do. You could do that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's something they should consider.
Jim, call me. I got ideas.
Yeah, you know where you can go. Feedback at apple.com.
Oh, I'm not giving this. Yeah, you pay for that. I'm not giving that for free.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap things up for this week. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. Support the show. You can buy me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We would really appreciate it. You also can become a Patreon of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers available to support the show. We would really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and so you're notified when we are live streaming, which is usually on every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/DaveG65. We also can watch and listen to the past shows, video and audio. Visit In Touch with iOS magazine on Flipboard, where many of the topics that we discuss are flipped into that magazine. The link is in our show notes. You also can subscribe in our to the show in your favorite podcatcher, including Pocket Casts, Apple Podcasts, and many others. But better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter at DaveG65. Guy Searle, so glad you made it back to the show. Where can people find you? Thanks for being here.
Oh, email guy@mymac.com. Twitter is MacParrot or VertShark. And I am VertShark over there on the YouTubes. I've just actually started doing something a little bit different. I'm taking little snippets from the MyMac podcast for both audio and video.
I need to do that too.
Putting them on vertshark.com as well as YouTube. And of course, flipping those over to VertShark over there on Facebook. I've got 9 of them for the last show that just came out. And I didn't even get past the first break. So
there's always something funny on that.
Yeah. I need to be a little more discerning, I think, in which ones I choose. And they're all like 2 to 3 minutes long. They're not real
yeah,
long.
That's what I got to start doing that. I've been recording it. I just never make the time. It's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, it's real easy to do using DaVinci, but that's not what this show is all about. So, but those are all the various ways that you can get a hold of me. Of course, there is the MyMac podcast that I do with Gaz, Guy's Daily Drive, which for whatever stupid reason I record in my car on my way to work, usually about twice a week. And of course, Chuck continues to allow me on Mac Voices. And every once in a while, Dave takes me out of the cage and lets me come on to his show. So yay.
Got you in a rotation. Appreciate you being here. And
Thank
Warren
you. I
Sklar,
appreciate it.
Warren Sklar, thanks for being here as always. So where can people find you?
Pretty much the same places that you and Guy said, minus a couple of those places. So if you tune into like one of your shows or Guy's shows or Chuck shows, maybe I'll be there.
All right.
Well, that's specific.
It is very specific. And I want to thank you for listening. We really appreciate you being here. We hope you enjoyed the show. And we'll talk again soon.
Oh,
All right, guys.
cool. So how do you
Everything's
turn
over.
how do you turn the camera into what's the
Well,
setting?
let me
Because it asked me. It asked me.
You want to play with your
Well, I want to show you my dog because she's so stinking cute. Hold on. How do I do
oh, look,
it?
there's Johnny Appleseed.
yeah, I couldn't figure out how to
Yeah, me neither.
change the graphics here.
Yeah, it's a little tricky. You gotta play a little bit. You gotta actually create a copy of the overlay. Like here's another one. That one's there. See that one?
Okay, so you go to templates.
Yeah, in the overlays, you just do right click and you can go edit, or export. I think it is. You also can go into the gallery if you go to what is it?
Yeah, overlay gallery.
Yeah, under overlay and go gallery, it'll bring you a separate window up. You can go have at it in there.
Create new overlay from template. Okay,
Yep.
so guys, stupid overlay. Okay, it's there's only one A in overlay. There we go. Oh, here we go. Okay, here's that text. So you would change that to, that's for Twitter. So Vert Shark.
Look at Lola.
Hey, baby girl. Yeah, what are we doing? I don't know either. She's being silly. Yeah. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Got our tail going and everything.
Got excited.
So let's see this thing. I still can't figure out how to get my desktop, but whatever. There you go. Anyhow.
I want to keep you from your beauty sleep.
Yeah, what
Whoops.
I don't even know what I'm doing now. I'm gonna
I'm gonna say goodbye to the live stream. Goodbye.